What is up? Do something podcast.
Yes. And what is your
That is
name?
how we do an intro. I love it.
Dude, he left. That's the energy. Oh no!
1, 2. Okay, do something, got me goose bumping in the lot. You gon' prove something, or this dude, what you really taught. This the move, we gon' bring the crew up here to the spot. And I move, I don't wanna
Okay,
lose
I
something.
think we've officially started. We've
Can I
officially
put my
started.
headphones on just to homogenize, or do you think?
Yeah, we should do that. Definitely. Gotta stuff everything in one area. But yes, we have started the 4th episode, I believe, of the Do Something podcast, and one person's missing. So we'll just wait. We'll just wait for him. How you doing, Rico?
I'm doing all right. I'm just kind of chilling out lately, being creative.
Mm-hmm. You told me about that stuff. Now, Robert is back. So we need to introduce people because this is how the informal nature of this podcast works. We just start talking before introducing.
Are we doing like the introduction like right now?
No, yeah, you can start. Yeah, I was just about to.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna start. What is up? Do something podcast.
Yes. And what is your
That is
name?
how we do an intro. I love it.
Dude, he left. That's the energy. Oh no!
I love that.
This is definitely going. He
This
yelled
is
so
the
much.
final cut.
He yelled so much. He kicked himself out of the room.
This is gold. This is the exact like feel we want to capture. I think.
Wait, what just
we
happened?
made it.
What just happened?
I don't know whether he left because
He just yelled into oblivion. What?
Oh, okay. Here he's back. Bro, you yelled yourself into oblivion. I don't know what you did, but your yell literally rips time open.
That's the best way to start a
You
podcast.
EMP'd your way out of the podcast for a second there, buddy.
I don't know if he's joined. If he didn't join computer audio, he just can't hear us. So whatever.
Oh my god.
But if he's listening. I can't tell. My eyes are already tearing up, and we just started. I don't know how many seconds we are in.
That's
That was
gold.
the
That's gold.
best intro. We just keep on beating.
We have to
Last
put
time-
that in.
last
It
time-
would be a sin to not put that in. Oh my gosh. It was perfect. Hey, look at his face. Let's see whether he's smiling or not. That's usually a tell. Oh, he's back? Yeah.
Smiling, so he might be able to hear us.
I'm not sure.
He's typing something. He's probably
You want
like,
any good jokes, Rohan?
nice. He's probably not typing something. Okay, technical difficulties, but I think we're all back here and we're all.
You've
ready
been
to talk.
snapped into a reality in which the screaming did not cut us into a different dimension. So
This is the alternate dimension.
yes, this is the alternate dimension now.
Okay, so I think Rico was halfway through introducing himself.
Yeah. All right. So hi y'all. I'm Rico. I'm a good friend of Kid Rohan's, and here with Rob for the first time.
Yep,
I'm an artist
warm
as
acquaintance,
well.
you can say.
I just put out an album called Hyde about a month and a half ago or so. It'd be great if y'all could check that out too.
Good stuff. Rico, what streaming platforms is it on? Just for our dear viewers out there.
Hyde is on anywhere you can find music: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Napster, SoundCloud, YouTube, anywhere you listen. I'm all over.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, dear viewers, please check it out if you can.
Check it out. It is great.
Resistance is futile.
Actually, I don't
Do
want
it.
to. I don't want to spoil too much, but we're gonna talk a little bit about it. But I think the big news. A lot of stuff happened. Last week.
Oh, for sure.
I think one of the
That's right.
biggest things was I released my first EP on streaming services, Lunch Tables,
Lunch
And it is
tables,
out now.
baby.
and this
Let's go.
guy was featured on it too. So
Yes, that was on the track.
it's been doing
Joke,
crazy.
the final
Yeah.
track on the album.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
One of my
EP.
favorites, to be
It's
honest.
doing
Delivery,
crazy.
10 out of 10.
Sorry.
You're good. Keep
Oh,
going.
yeah, okay. It's doing crazy, and I'm really hyped for how well it's been doing. All of the tracks have been doing well. And you made some predictions, Rico, about the least popular track and the most popular track. You're like 100% pretty much right.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, Maxed Up is least popular. and Joke is on its way to becoming highest streamed.
There we go.
Hey,
Growing.
There we go.
So actually, the two most popular songs on the EP are featuring both of these people. So that's
That's
Wow.
right.
Wow.
So yeah, I really am happy with how it turned out, and yeah, that's a really cool thing about it.
Yeah, I think you did a really good job with lunch tables. If I'm sure y'all have heard it already, I feel like Ro really encapsulated that like really reminiscent past self of thinking about high school, thinking about what you did there, thinking about your younger years too, and acknowledging your past and how you can really look at it and use it towards your future self.
I also, to add on to that, great points. And I also feel like not only was it like a great encapsulation, but it was great like send off to your high school years as well. It was sort of that the final stake in the coffin, or what I know that has kind of a bad, or it's a good implication. Yeah, it is a good implication. Yeah, okay, so we're good. But very much a sense of finality and a very much this is an end of an era and now on to the next one. And so you can see a lot of that duality of a lot of reminiscing and at the same time a lot of that, but it's still just reminiscing. This is not the current reality, which is nice.
Okay. Thank you. And I wanted to actually ask what each of your favorite tracks were on the EP. And I know both of you are probably biased because you both are on the EP, but
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, I am completely and totally biased, and I have to say Joke because I mean I really do think that is while the entire album is full of tracks that go really hard, I feel like Joke is the hardest one, and I do feel like that is the best feature verse that I've ever laid down. When I was writing that verse, I really got this sense of like, hey, I've kind of proved myself from that period of time where people were like, oh, this kid's rapping. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
But now this isn't a joke. I'm really about this. And I feel like I really put that into my verse. And I threw some shots in there too, which was a little bit of fun on my part.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun talking about
That's
it
for sure.
yesterday.
Oh boy. No, I
What
totally get that sense. And before I actually go into mine, going off of that, you can definitely tell like you two have experienced the same exact sort of like being discounted by other people, and that same sort of like vigor really, you can see it, you can hear it. And actually like my family's been listening to the EP as well, and my dad's been he's been replaying Do Something, but especially Joke. He says Joke is like his other favorite as well. So, and I gotta say, I honestly feel like it goes harder than Do Something in regards to like the idea of like kind of putting one's path out there. I feel like Do Something is a bit more, which I feel like kind of sporadic about throwing this in, but I honestly gotta say like Joke might be my favorite track too. It's hard to choose. I mean, I think Do Something means the most to me, but I think after hearing it so much, I think just the freshness and the outgoingness of Joke and the fact that I think it is even shorter than Do Something just gives it that replayability that's very comfortable.
I think Joke is the longest song on the album, I thought.
For real?
Yeah, it is the longest song. I think it's the longest song I've ever made.
It
I think
feels
4.5 minutes, right?
Yeah,
oh,
4.5.
shoot.
And just the
I'm
whole time,
thinking
it's just
that. I thought it
banger,
was, like,
banging
shorter
after
than
banging
that.
after banging after banging.
That's good. That's good that he didn't
Yeah.
notice it was long, because I was
Ah,
worried
yeah,
about that.
I didn't get that. I didn't feel like it was long at all. I thought it was like over before I could like realize it, you know?
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite verses I've ever done.
Mm,
Like,
mm.
in terms of
I mean,
like
I feel like
passion.
You taste it.
yeah, I feel
You
like
taste
you
it.
really did put a lot into that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but like enough of that, because I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of what it did for me, and I think that it's doing great. It's on its way to 30,000 streams, which is the goal. Because if it
Nice.
reaches 30,000 streams, another present will drop. And
I'm excited.
I'm actually unsure of how much it's going to be, but I know that it's at least a certain thing. So that sounds really confusing, but
That's very
when
vague. But
when we reach 30K, I'll explain it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really hyped about that. But I want to also let the audience know a little bit about Rico, because Rico just dropped not an EP, not a mixtape, but an album this year.
Right.
And called Hyde. And not only an album, but a concept album.
That's
so
right.
I wanted to pick Rico's brains a little bit about that. How was the process like? What does this album mean to you in relation to your other releases?
All right. So my first really complete body of work that I made that I felt like I was genuinely proud of was called Two-Faced. And that album in and of itself had like a little bit of a theme going on to it. Like the first half of the album was these sort of more high energy banger type tracks where it was more aggressive and stuff. And then right in the middle of the album, there's a song that switches it completely. And the rest of the album goes into more thoughtful and more pensive, more thought-provoking songs. So my original idea for Hyde, Rohan actually helped me come up with this, was to take that more aggressive and banger type sound and do it for the entire album. So I was like, okay, it's kind of like, so Two-Face has a duality to it. So I sort of took it as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? So this album is entitled Hyde as an homage to that. And in the middle of the creation process of it, I actually myself had a spiritual reawakening. And I began to take my religion very, very seriously. So then I decided that I was going to take the album and give a religious theme to it. So the message of the album in and of itself is that anyone, no matter how despicable or how deplorable or how evil they may be, can be redeemed in the eyes of God if they seek forgiveness and seek to be good people afterwards. And so I took a narrative in the album. Every song is part of that narrative, and it's they go one after another telling this story. And then towards the end of the album, the character of Hyde in the album, he completely switches and he goes on his own spiritual reawakening.
So that's very interesting, first of all, how you took that personal discovery and combined it with this concept of Hyde and Hyde's actions. So I think something that a lot of people who create concept albums not struggle with, but have to face is like, when you're creating a concept album, how much of it is you and how much of it is the concept? Because obviously you didn't just say, it's not like, oh, I'm going to make an album about turtles. Like, you're not just making an album about a random thing. This is Jekyll and Hyde, clearly a fiction-based thing, but you felt a personal connection with your religious awakening that allowed you to create this. And clearly, even in Hyde, you add some of your personal elements, like you add some of your feelings. Like, these are not just feelings you're describing from an outsider's perspective. Yeah. You clearly are you're clearly combining your personal senses with this. Could you get more into detail about that?
Yeah. So I often saw this this side of myself where Hyde, the story of it, you can basically boil it down to this guy is a really evil guy. He does a bunch of completely just deplorable things. He's an awful person, completely awful. And then he gets visited by the devil, who scares him to death. Like, he's terrified. And then he gets visited by God, and God basically tells him that you are such an evil person, but Jesus Christ died for the forgiveness of your sins so you can still be redeemed. And he spends the rest of the album, the last 3 or 4 tracks, having that personal redemption and that personal story and becoming a better person. And I feel like that is just an over extreme and over dramatic version of my story in terms of that, because I felt like I never felt like I was doing anything as evil as Hyde, obviously, but I kind of felt like I was lost. I kind of felt like I wasn't doing the best I could to be a good person, go out of my way and be a good person all the time in that place. And then this moment just clicked with me, and I really felt the need to just be a better person, be more caring towards others, do more things for the community in whatever little way I can. And I took that and I put it in my music, I dramatized it, and I made an album out of it. So Hyde is basically me, except he's just an over extreme, over evil version of me. Right?
Yeah.
Wow. I actually have a question. So did that sort of self-reflection come as you were seeing yourself in Hyde, or did that sort of come more externally? Were you seeing yourself in Hyde first, or was it more you were seeing yourself first?
Yeah. So the basis of the sort of more aggressive, evil half of Hyde came from my album Two-Faced, right? So I was that obviously Two-Faced was these two parts of me, except put into musical form. So Hyde originally was supposed to be an album of that one part of me, except taken up to the maximum level, that that sort of more aggressive, confrontational part of me. And the album was originally going to be that, but then a specific situation actually happened to me, a little bit of a traumatic experience, in fact, where I just thought about what I was doing at the time and how I could be better at it. And I just got more closer to God from that. And he's guided me to be a better person, to make this type of music, to show people this message that I really want to show to the people so they can see what I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also an important part of the whole Hyde the album and the Two-Faced album is the fact that Hyde, like this album in a way shows that Hyde and Jekyll are not very different from who we are today. Like they're both seen as two extremes of this and that. But when you listen to this album of Hyde, if you even relate to it a little bit, it proves it. Like, I mean, I related to a lot of the things that were said in that album, but we're not perfect, right? We're not this or that. And I think the biggest part is just recognizing that you have these desires on one side. You have these desires on one side, long-term usually with Jekyll, short-term with Hyde. And you have to balance these desires in a way where you show respect for both your Jekyll side and your Hyde side. And that just requires that self-awareness. Because if you just think you're a really good person, you're going to live thinking you're a Jekyll but act like a Hyde. And for example, for your project, right? When Hyde is like messing around doing everything he can, when he actually faces who he is when seen by actual hell, then he realizes he's not what he's trying to be. So I think just understanding that, like, yes, I have this bad side. Yes, I have this good side, but I'm going to utilize and make way and not demonize one side for being how it is, and give the proper amount of attention and respect to both sides so I can stay a mentally stable person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another interesting way of conceptualizing it, because you and I have talked about this before, Rohan, about how you kind of have a shadow self as well that kind of speaks to your like emotional side. And then you also have your logical side that's like, or not necessarily your logical side, but like you said, a side that's more catering to long-term goals, things you want to push forwards for. And then on the other hand, you have things that are just only benefiting you in the moment. You know, I had talked about how like the shadow self is just kind of your more true version of yourself, you know, the one that you don't want to buy into too much, but you still want to listen to before you forget he's there, and kind of ruining your life without you knowing it, you know, acting as a poison. And so I think that's a good point, and that's a good way to visualize it as well, because there's so many different sort of incarnations of Jekyll and Hyde, and ways to kind of picture the two.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like the duality of man, the two sides that all have in us. It's very important that you acknowledge it's very important that you acknowledge your feelings. I am always someone who has believed in letting your feelings out. Like, you can't hold them back. It's just going to make them worse.
It's just going to make them come out in a more violent way.
Yeah, exactly.
Way.
So the important thing when dealing with that, when dealing with negative emotion, in my eyes, is to let it out in a non-hurtful way. So Hyde in the album, he is going on a rampage. He is going through substance abuse. He's going through murder. He's going through just countless other things that I can't even begin to describe without listening to the album, that are just absolutely horrible and evil things. And he's taking that negative emotion that he has and letting it out through these evil, hurtful ways. Whereas that's why I think it's so important that to have a creative outlet to like, if I'm feeling a negative emotion, if something just happened to me and I'm just feeling like, I'm really just like not vibing with this person right now. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to deal with this. Instead of going and saying hurtful things to whatever person I'm mad at, I'll go put it in a song, and I'll let that energy out in a song, just so it can be in a non-hurtful way. And if I did that, I would not write it about anyone specific. I would just let that emotion out through that creative outlet.
I mean, like, this is also something that I've seen, I think, like, when I've actually talked to you. It wasn't specifically at a person, but we both did this challenge for this song called Good Night, right? And basically what happened was Rico recorded his verse, which is like, this is super hard, right? He sends it to me, and turns out the tempo of the beat, this is Zoom notification, the tempo of the beat actually was too slow. So since it was too, like, it was an accident, since it was too slow, we knew that it would not be accepted in the challenge.
And I have no idea why I did that.
And I'm just like, bro, I'm sorry to tell you, but the tempo is like that. And he's like, no way. And he's just mad that he has to re-record it.
I was so mad.
And then the next day he re-records it and comes with one of his best delivered verses, if not his best. Because that anger that he had when he had to re-record it, he put that out. He put that out in that track, and that track came out beautiful. And if it weren't for that situation, then it wouldn't have been as good as before. So sometimes it's happening for a reason. I just got this, and this is also an example. I have to re-record a bunch of stuff now through this, probably, and I'm not very happy about it. So hopefully that same logic will be able to apply for that. Yeah,
I mean, I feel like if just putting emotion into your vocals, into your voice is really important when making music. I feel like with some previous music I made, I think it was very good in terms of flow, in terms of mix, in terms of lyrics, in terms of instrumental, but some earlier songs of mine, they didn't have that emotion behind it. And I feel like just lately in the past few months, and in the creation of Hyde, when I was making that, I feel like I've really started to put more emotion into my voice and starting to get those points across in.
Yeah, because they can't feel your music if you don't, if you don't show that feeling, they can't feel your music.
Rico, do you ever feel like with you, like, not just you've gotten better at like channeling it into your voice, but do you feel like you've gotten better at kind of controlling it, like, resultantly?
I do feel like I've gotten better at what you mean, like controlling that, like, emotion?
Yeah, sort of kind of knowing how to express it more.
Yeah,
so not just like,
I do feel like I've gotten better at that. I feel like a key thing that just triggers my mind when I think of controlling emotion like that was so there's these two relationships I was in, and they both broke up with me in the same way, actually. And the first one that I was in that sense, of these two,
Mhm.
I dealt with horribly. I dealt with that. I was all over the place. I was just being a total crybaby about it. I was angry, and I was just throwing out all this stuff that could have been perceived as hurtful towards people.
Yeah.
And the second relationship that I was in, I was actually in this one for longer. I dealt with that breakup much better because I had matured as a person, and I had learned that I can't be dealing with this in this way.
Yeah.
I need to just let it out. Maybe if you want to cry a little bit one night, just cry to yourself one night. And
Crying is important. Crying is so
crying is
so
important
important.
because it's
Facts.
a release of emotion.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to cry.
Facts.
So
That's so true.
yeah. So
Mhm.
I just let it out in a much better manner, in a much more mature manner, that I don't think I've gotten back to that immature way of releasing that emotion ever since.
Mm-hmm.
That's rad. That's super cool.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's just mainly because if we realize who we really are and what we really need, then we'll cater to our interests more. And when we believe we're someone we're not, we make that we have actions that only contribute to a lower self-esteem and a lower mental state.
Mhm.
So I think that's very important. Also, one thing I found very interesting is the fact that when you previewed the Hyde album, there was a trailer. The trailer, this is the story of Hyde. It had a very screenplay like vibe to it, and I wanted, and since I know that you're into acting and a little bit into writing, how did Hyde take a turn in comparison to Two-Faced with screenplay, in a way, acting?
Okay.
How did you
Yeah, I get
implement
what you're
that
saying.
characteristic?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I feel like Hyde, in and of itself, could be written as a screenplay, just the story in general. And I feel like I actually want to work on that. Maybe like yeah, you know what? I'll do that. I'm gonna take the story of Hyde and I'm gonna make it into a screenplay / musical. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be great. But because I mean, I myself partake in different creative ventures. I'm also an actor. I've been acting for about like 4 or 5 years now.
Dang, we
And
got a
I'm in it.
polymath. Got a polymath on our hands. Nice
Yeah,
work.
yeah. Yeah, so I've been acting for like 4 or 5 years. I do like thespian society stuff. I won a couple trophies
Wow.
for that. Yeah, so I might do that. But Hyde in and of itself, compared to Two-Faced, has a story to it. Two-Faced is conceptual in the fact that it has a theme of those two sides in the different halves of the album. But Hyde conceptually is literally an entire story. So I feel like when I'm recording those tracks, I can really sort of get into the character of Hyde, and I can really portray that emotion through the music by acting out the character. Because I remember a quote from one of my favorite people in media is Daveed Diggs. He's an actor. He's a rapper. He's part of the rap group Clipping. He was in multiple movies, and he was Thomas Jefferson and Marquis de Lafayette and Hamilton. He's a producer as well. And something that he said when he quoted one of the producers of Hamilton, because he has to do a French accent because he plays a Frenchman for half of the show. And one of the producers is like, don't even try to sing, just act on pitch. So I'm like, you know what, that's really great advice. Just act on pitch, and you'll just give that emotion, you'll give that performance, and you can still sound good doing it.
That's interesting. It took me a while when you said act on pitch. I was like, wait, what? Act on pitch? And it took me like a second. Like I was like, oh, okay, I get what you're saying now. Yeah, it's important, man. I think it's important.
And I think you stay truer to like a person, I guess, almost, and less so of a performer sometimes. Or I guess more so like many kind of singers, they get focused on like technical skill. And then once you start to kind of like peel back that layer, then it's just, singing is kind of acting in a sense, you could say. So you're kind of peeling back a layer to either just make it easier for yourself, making those emotions kind of more at the surface, more easily accessible. So that's really cool.
I see that. It's a little dry. That's why that can be translated into acting too. That's why I personally really respect the method of method acting. For those of you who don't know what that is, method acting is basically a thing where an actor takes something personal to them, takes something from their past, gets themselves completely emotionally raw, and channels that emotion from something towards their performance. So for example, if you're meant to play, if you're doing a scene that's like really angry, just think of a moment in which you were just the most angry you've ever been, and keep thinking about it until you can really dive deep in that emotion and put it into your performance.
Some actors really utilize that. Yeah. I mean, the best Joker ever, undebatably, Jared Leto. He actually, I think he sent like dead. I don't know what was it. He sent like dead animals to like Margot Robbie's house or something.
Yeah. That one was Jared Leto. Jared Leto is one of those actors where he just likes to be in character for the whole time, even when he's upset.
That's mad. That's so crazy.
So, I mean, I really respect him as an actor, but that role just was not meant for him.
See, like I gotta say, method acting is like super, super effective. I feel like, but like it scares me. Like I could not do that. I could not like force an emotion so hard on myself. Make it come out of me.
It's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's how the Get Out guy. I don't know what his name is. The guy, main character in Get Out, kind of did the crying scene where it's like tears and he's like stuck in place. He like remember the time.
It's very effective. But you have to train it. You have to learn it.
I hike you want to method act in music, like with recording, because I think I already do that to an extent, but like
I think you do.
Take it to the next level.
The good thing about that in music is you don't really have a part to play, right? It's just your own form of expression.
Yeah.
So you can channel that emotion through your own experience, and you're putting your own experience out.
Yeah. So exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you're like playing a persona, if you're like a fake thug or something, I don't know.
Then you can do it like I was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that's great, bro. It's crazy because I'm sure Robert knows, but like we met like a year ago, right? A year or two ago, right? I'd say a year ago, like we really met, and we've got
maybe like a year and a half.
Bro, let's tell the story. It's like we got from like Two-Face to like here. Do you remember like the first time? When did we first meet? Like, was like a group chat, right?
Yeah, we first met. I remember I made this. Ro and I both watched this YouTube channel. Or we used to. I don't know if he still does, but
I do.
Okay. Called Smart Rapper, and great advice on like music marketing and stuff, and like really like filming music videos, finding your rap voice, like different stuff like that. Ran by this guy Rob Level, great guy, and so he made like a community thing, like a forum type thing, and he has like different like video lessons on there too. So I was on that, and me and some other guy, we decided to make this group chat so we could network with other rappers, and we posted it on the site, and like 15, 17 different people joined, and Kid Rohan was one of those people. And just throughout this period of time, he just he just kept on showing me love. He just
Vice
kept on
versa.
listening to
Vice
my
versa.
stuff. Yeah, and I did the same thing, of course, because Ro also makes amazing music. So and through that we just kind of talked more. We did a song on my first album, Two Faced. It's called Cardiac. That song is a banger. And
That's true.
yeah,
Can confirm.
we just kept talking from there, and we just grew as artists, and we grew as people, and we grew as friends too. And
So
here we are
cool.
today from that moment.
Yeah, I think it was crazy because, like, I'd say tough times, like not tough times, but yeah, tough times build character and bonds, and I think Robert can agree with that with me and him.
Oh, for sure.
So, like,
100%.
we were like cool. Like, I'm cool with a lot of people on Instagram, but I think what really brought us closer was there's a couple tough times in a way that we shared. So like together. So first of all, the group chat was wild, man. It was crazy, man. There was like people. There was like kind of debates happening where like people were very, very
Did people get
angry and stuff
political?
like that, and in a way that kind of brought us together because I think we're not very confrontational, so it kind of weeded out who was confrontational, who wasn't, which is fine, but it kind of in a way made us figure out more about each other in stressful situations. And we both, I think, had our fair deal of people doing us wrong music wise, and us expecting something and not getting it, and just fake people in terms of music, and us kind of being able to talk about those people together in DMs and stuff made us realize, okay, so we clearly value-wise don't value this inauthenticity. No, that's not even the word, but don't value fake people, and we don't value that confrontation without empathy. So like those kind of experiences brought us together, and then soon we were just like start talking about like random stuff like beyond music, like what's going on, what's up, man, and we'd have like funny stories to share, and then yeah, it was great. And we just realized, like, for me, and I think Rico's the same way, I can't really feature and I can't really collaborate with someone unless I know them. Like I'm not just trying to know you for your music. I'm trying to know who you are, because that makes that connection stronger. That's going to make that chemistry stronger. That's just going to make a more happy relationship. Like I like just talking. Sometimes I just like calling artists, talking to them. In Rico, we just talk about normal stuff. Like we're friends beyond just, oh, this release, that release, you know?
Yeah. And a lot of that mutualistic kind of connection can really build up that sense of like that, not just like the knowledge base of a person, but like empathy for them and a greater ability to kind of like play off them too. Like sometimes it's inside jokes, but a lot of the time also it's like knowing kind of how the other person works and kind of getting that out of them too. Or not like getting them out of it, but like sort of, I can totally see when you guys are on the same verse, you could probably, or if you were doing a cipher or something like that, I could see how if you two happen to be next to each other, you'd be able to bring up things. Like you would be able to spike it or like tap it. What are the volleyball terminology? Like tap the ball for somebody else to spike it. Like it's all about
Set
that.
the ball.
Set the ball. Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. Yeah, like set the ball before somebody spikes it. I can like see that energy, which is super, super cool.
Yeah. I feel like every time me and Rohan make a track, recently, I feel like the best example of this from stuff we've put out is Mega Man, right? It's really that back and forth that we did, and I feel like that shows immense chemistry. And personally, on my 2 albums that I have on streaming services right now, I only have 2 features, and those are both on Two Faced. One of them is my band, 6 Brain Cells Left, and the other one is Rohan. And I feel like if in order for someone to do a feature for me or for me to do a feature with them, I really have to understand who they are and what they're going to do on this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If they can connect with the message of the song.
Yeah. It's beyond that. And even with Joke, like the message of the song is how people are not taking you seriously. And I send that to Rico, and Rico comes back with a verse about how people don't take him seriously, even in the music sphere. So like that song, I would be talking about how people in our school would not take me seriously. That was mainly what my target was. And then Rico took that idea and elevated it to a point where it's people, when you're first starting music, other people in the music scene won't respect you. So it has two meanings. And I like when one artist takes that idea and elevates it to something else, just like he did, because that shows true chemistry. And even with Mega Man, like Mega Man, that was one of the fastest songs I've ever done. Like, I think we were doing Zoom. We were even in class, like Zoom classes or something. I'm like, I've recorded half of this Mega Man thing. I'm like, yo, what if you trade this off? I send it to him. He sends it back the next day. All the verses. I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. And okay, we both didn't like go on our like notepad and go like the man. Everything I do is mega. Like, we didn't do that. We just lived like, okay, this is cool. Let's just make these simple ideas. And sometimes it's the simple ideas that work. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of the best songs come from freestyles. Like
Quarantine freestyle.
Yeah, one time. Yeah, exactly. I have a song called "Quarantine Freestyle" out there that did really well. I put it out when the quarantine started, and one of my friends, one of my close friends, he's a great musician. He produced some stuff. He produced the songs "Wonderland" and "Bombs Away" from my album Hyde, and he told me, "Hey, I have some beats for you. Literally, just pick 3 beats and just freestyle one straight thing to it." And I'm like, okay. So the second freestyle I did, actually, maybe the first one, but I'm not sure. I pull up the beat and I go, "I'm quarantined, so I'm locked in. All I do is rap, so I don't got no other option. All these people want to come at me like they've been popping. I need social distancing, so I told them to stop it. Hey." Yeah. And I just kept going from there. And I was like, and the original song, the original freestyle had some like crazy bars that like don't make any sense. But then that chorus just stuck in my head. So I took that chorus and I made a complete song out of it. And I feel like that's my most fun, my most upbeat, energetic song.
Yeah, I got you.
For sure. Yeah.
Just the
sometimes like it's just that sense of spontaneity that you can just like generate that just, I mean, okay. Another great example of that is just like the day that I had with you on the Do Something Day. It was completely spontaneous. And
we wrote that song in like one day.
We just like banged it. It was crazy. And so you just have that like spontaneous energy. And you start like, what I love sometimes is, and I think I see this with you, is that you start getting into like, I'm just going to one up myself, you know, like, why not? I'm just going to go for it. And so I've had that too, where it's just like, for example, like I'm mixing something, I'm in the middle of the mix and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to play it risky. I'm going to put something in that no one would expect. Right. And so of course you could mess up, or like if you're comboing in a video game, another great example, you're just feeling it. You just want to go all in, put all the chips on the table. And before you know it, like you've amassed huge winnings from that. And that's some of the best energy you can get, because like 5 minutes before, no chips, 5 minutes later, your pockets are full. And so that's some of the best, like just turn around crazy stuff to have.
Ooh, I want to talk more about, Robert, like what your stuff is and how you've been able to apply these concepts to, because you've started DJing, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's awesome.
How did you get into that? What was like the origin of that, and how you incorporate your elements into that the same way we incorporate elements into our music?
All right, I see you. Making some parallels here is going to be really interesting, just because it's two very different fields, yet still within the field of like music stuff. So just starting from like my origin stuff, like how did I get into EDM, or just DJing in general? Was
DJing in general, like how was it?
Yeah. So when it came to DJing, it was like, shoot, I don't know how old I was. Maybe it was like 12. I can't remember. No, I was like 10-ish, 10 about. And so this was like 2012. I was in Mexico and I heard a few really huge records that were put out at the time. I heard Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites. Yes, I know it's cliche, but like it still goes hard. The tune is still absolutely massive.
Wow.
And also, I think it was, hopefully I get the tune name right, but it was In My Mind Axwell Mix by Phoenix Paul and Axwell. And that was just, it was so big. It was so huge. It was just amazing to me how you could kind of put this stuff together and make it really glow. You know, these amazing like synths, this sort of, you're painting a picture with sound here, these like beautiful synths. And so I think with you guys, when it comes to rapping, a lot of the time it's painting a picture with your words. So it's lyricism heavy, but also you have the ability to draw on the beat for melody, for beauty, or for an intermission. I think a lot of EDM draws upon a lot of euphoric feelings, a lot of that shadow self sort of feelings, this just sudden release or sudden build up, something like that. And so that was a huge draw to me, the fact that there was so much emotion in something like that, and something I really wanted to try communicating. And so that's how I kind of first got into thinking of DJing, just thinking these two songs would just sound so perfect together because they play off of each other so well. You can make a melody that really, it has even more beauty with these two elements together. And so ever since probably like 2012, I've just been thinking about that. And not too long ago, Altered Sounds actually gifted me a set of decks. And so go check him out, Altered Sounds, amazing producer, absolutely spectacular. And so thanks to him, I actually have a set of controllers. But still in the past, like kind of before that moment, I'd been kind of building up these ideas of what songs would go well to each other. And so a lot of what you guys are saying, this duality here and this playing off of certain elements, you can find that in DJing, a lot of sampling, drawing melodies in or drawing certain aspects in just to make it sound very seamless, to tell a story, to illustrate something.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this artistry is painting a picture, kind of telling a story, showing something to somebody, as simple as that. But the methods by doing so are so different and unique. And so I think that's really cool to me. And that's why also now you see a lot of interplay. Also, Rohan, you might want to stop me if I'm starting to like spin off too much. But
No, you good.
okay, thank you, man. Sometimes I get like this, but I'm getting in my bag right now. But a lot of that interplay, a lot of that just like connection is so crazy to me. Just the fact that you can take, I don't know what, like a soul folk track, you can speed it up a little bit and it sounds like disco, change the texture of the snares and kicks, and you've got like a full out rave banger. That's so cool to me. You can just change the feel so easily. And I think a parallel to that would be how you can mess around with the beat of a rap track. You can, a lot of what you two I think have been experimenting with recently, slowing down the beat, adding autotune, adding filters, just another way to kind of change your voice in the story, to change, I guess, sometimes in the narrator's perspective. A lot of it is used as stylistic effect, to sort of, you can use these sort of cues to say, now this narrator is speaking in a desert instead of a lush forest, or now this narrator is speaking from a really, really dark place. No longer is he, carefree. He understands the weight of his actions and where he's going.
Like with reverb too, just the simple adds of reverb, different types of effects like a cabinet effect, EQ.
Exactly.
Just a little bit of EQ could make it sound like it's coming from crazy places, and just the science of sound could change a project so much.
For sure. And you can make it sound like somebody's going absolutely delusional, and you can just, it's crazy. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, no, Sith, Rico, Sith, the hook. That's a perfect
exactly.
example.
You're completely right. On one of my songs, Sith, it was a single from Hyde. I was working with that same friend who produced Bombs Away and Wonderland, and he took my vocals for Sith, which is a track meant to emulate sort of, it's a track that sounds like, the only way I can describe it is it sounds like Darth Vader, right? And like Hyde is this villain, he's doing all this evil stuff, so he kind of feels like the man. He's kind of like, I rule over this with an iron fist. And I encapsulated that in Darth Vader. And my friend took the vocals on the chorus and literally made it sound like I am talking as Darth Vader out of the mask. and it sounded incredible. I was blown away.
So
Viewers, if you
cool.
haven't heard that song, I feel
Yeah,
like you
you
really
must
need
listen.
to listen to that to see the full picture of it. It really added another layer to that
Yeah.
story and that meaning of the track.
Yeah, that's a great.
I've never imagined.
It's a great vocal example how you can mess around with vocals, and you can also mess around with the beat just to change the complete
Yeah,
vibe.
For
Like
sure.
do something the very end of it. All I did was like make the beat, I think 12 dB below, I think, and
Yeah,
and it
push
was
it
a beat
down,
breakdown.
start it behind
Same
it.
thing happened on Joe, but the mood was already angry on that one. But for do something happy, up tempo, bumping, beat
Mhm.
changes, sad. So it shows that how that simple touch shows that like you could feel bored, you could feel lonely, you could feel depressed, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes you have to do something to get your mind off it. So doing something is a cool thing in the song. It's up tempo and fun. But
Yeah.
when you need it, when you're not feeling those positive emotions, just doing something, as I say at the end, have to do something to get my mind off it. Just that breakdown changed it all and added
For
that
sure.
second meaning to the whole track.
100%. And I feel like a lot of that is when you get to that stance in the track, you feel how urgent it is. I think everything before it, like you said, very up tempo, very kind of bumping. It's happy, you know, because you're kind of in the middle of it. You're in the thick of it. You're in the middle of doing something and you feel good. But I think the very end is kind of a time shift almost to before you've actually done it. And you feel really
Yeah.
low and just depressed. You don't
Yeah.
know what to do.
I have a really, really cool thing I want to bring up. And I think both of you, as like people in fashion or interested in fashion, would
Mhm.
actually be kind of interested in this because I've been thinking about it for a while and I've never really said it out loud. So I think one of my old friends who really told me to start rapping, his name, I don't know if I should name his name, but he told me one important thing. It's not about the product for business. It's about how that product makes you feel.
Yeah.
So when you're
Yeah.
wearing Supreme, and all these other, so I said I smile Rico because I know about Supreme, but yeah, when you wear this, when you wear all these brands, right? It makes you feel a certain way depending on the type of brand. It can make you feel like I don't know. Supreme makes me feel extravagant and exclusive, and I think those are the things. And there's different brands like Nike makes you feel like athletic or like professional. I'd say, in my opinion, there's all these different like the ways you can feel just by wearing something.
Totally.
I wanted to
totally.
raise the, because I've been trying to make my music more like this. How can you make a song that can make you feel a certain way, the same way when you listen to it as a shirt does when you wear it? And I've been thinking about that for a while. Like, how do
to
those
kind of
relate
like
with you?
to
Because there's some
emulate it,
songs,
sort of.
there's some songs even by Rico, for example, and some songs by artists in general, I listen to feel a certain type of way.
Mhm.
And same way I wear, not this, this is my shirt, so it's different, but like I wear like brands to feel a certain way.
Yeah. And I think you've also said this before. A lot of the reason why people are so drawn to it is the fact that you can kind of control what you're feeling at the time, or not exactly control, but kind of buy into. Sometimes it's even like a fantasy, just a feeling, you know, of not exactly being somebody different, but being the same person, just more with attitude, just with more arrogance or confidence is a better word for it. Sometimes it can turn into an arrogance, but that's a really interesting idea of sort of aiming, because I think a lot of songs do this as well, especially like to me. Like a good example would be This Time by Kieli, or no, it features Kieli. It's off of the Monster Cat like 26 album, I think it is.
100 Gex
But
too.
100 Gex. Oh, for
They're
sure.
great. They're
Oh
great.
my God. They're so spectacular. Like 800 decibel cloud, just like the go, 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 go cutting in. I get so hyped off of that. There have been times where I've just like listened to that phrase. I just start like jumping. It feels so good just because you're like, it just conveys that sense of emotion, which I love so much. And so I think there are, like you're saying, there's a lot of parallels. So I guess where in a song you would have maybe like a guitar riff. Guitar riffs are epic. Oh my gosh, don't even get me started. Metal step, that's the stuff. That's the stuff. But I guess the easiest way of kind of comparing that would be having a guitar riff in a song where you're not expecting it. Just like the first notes start to pluck in and you're just boom, you're in it, would be, I guess, a huge like logo or something like that. Something that really speaks to emotion. I guess with a song, you're not really expecting it. And I guess the same could be said for a shirt when you have that sort of logo and you turn around the face of the person. Not only do you get their face, right, but you get what's on their shirt. So I guess like with Supreme, the Supreme logo, that's the guitar riff because you see it. It's imposing. I'm part of this club where
Just
people buy into it.
just
Yeah,
myself.
exactly. And that, what's the logos on your guys' shirts as well, those are guitar riffs as well. They're just, or they're almost like musical cues of like, this is who I am. You know, and I think, Rico, you might like this a lot. You know how in scoring where you might, each character kind of has their certain sonic palette. So you might have a guitar for this character, a keyboard for this piano, or like a piano for this character, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that can kind of happen with clothes as well. You feel more in touch with yourself. You feel more of yourself when you're wearing something. And I guess the most obvious example of this is when you're wearing something that you've made, or which has ideas that you would agree with.
Yeah, I
Sometimes
guess,
you want to feel like someone else though.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like a big portion in that making you feel thing that you guys are talking about with music and clothing is relatability.
For sure.
With clothing, I'm a big fashion guy. I try to do it as personable as I can. I have merch up on my website, ricoofficial.com. I try to keep it like simple. It's a nice layering piece if you guys want to get some, but it's very affordable as well. But
It looks good. Looks real good.
yeah, I feel like for clothing, that relatability aspect really plays into it, and I feel like part of that is marketing. If for example, if Kanye West and his Yeezy line market something as exclusive, like they release a new shoe and he's like, oh, this is only limited to this certain amount of pairs, and you get a pair, you can relate to that feeling of exclusivity. Like, I'm part of this club now. This is a cool thing that I can be. It can make you it can put these characteristics with you. And with music, it doesn't even have to be in the lyrics. It can just be sonically as well. Going back to the example of 100 gecs, I was in kind of a mood the other day where I was going I felt like my brain was going at like 100 miles an hour. Just couldn't stop thinking. I was bouncing all over the place.
The perfect time to listen to 100 gecs right there.
Yeah, so I turn on Stupid Horse by 100 gecs.
That's what I'm talking about.
And they're like, stupid horse, I just fell out of the Porsche. And I'm like, yo, this is completely off the walls crazy. And I love it. This is exactly how I'm feeling right now. I relate to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like relatability really plays a good part in music of how people can feel.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. It's just,
that's for sure.
You sometimes want to feel like something.
Yeah.
You want to feel like different. And even like your album, FUX, like that song for me is the most like, when you listen to it, I feel like someone different. And sometimes it's cool to feel like yourself. Like for me, I always feel like myself, but I like to feel like something I'm not sometimes.
Yeah.
Like even get my Hyde sense in. Like
yeah, exactly.
It's also why like you see a lot of people who are not that extreme support someone extreme in something because they see a little bit of themselves in it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I don't even know. I don't know how. I have a really good example, but it's political. But screw it. Trump, right? Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump is very, very extreme.
Mm-hmm.
With the things he says. He's super extreme.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at a lot of Trump supporters, they're like low key. They're like not a lot of them are just like hidden, like not saying anything extreme.
Yeah, like they feel the same way as Trump, but Trump actually says something.
And that's why you have a lot of quiet people who like relate to it because their mind and thought is very extreme and they hear that. So you get a lot of these really extreme people getting supporters you don't expect.
Mm-hmm.
And this can also apply to like artists, right? So you can have a lot of like a really passionate artist have a lot of people. It can get a lot of people out of their shell because of that relatability.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, like you said before, 100 gecs is one of the best examples of this because they just put it all out there. They don't care. They're just like, we're just gonna make whatever we want, and I think so many people love it because it's not necessarily that they don't like pop or they need an antithesis to this sort of thing, but they also feel and they see a lot of freedom in it that they want to partake in themselves. And so an interesting thing to consider is how much the sense of relatability, but more so like, do you want to feel like this? Do you want to become it more, or do you already see it in yourself? And so I think there's the play between the two affects how much you're consuming things. So like your guys is saying,
Yeah. In regards to that,
mhm,
I feel like a lot of people see a certain aspect in themselves, but it's really small. And
yeah,
if when they, for example, listen to a song like that, they just take that aspect and just like crank it up to 100 and just
yeah,
let it all out. Like I'm just gonna use my own music as an example that Rohan just talked about. F period U period X period is a song on my album Hyde, where the character of Hyde just is dealing with a breakup with his significant other at the time, who he had been with for a significant amount of time, and he's dealing with it in the worst way possible. Whereas it's like sometimes if someone's going through a breakup, they might also feel that like vindictive, like really angry sense about it. They might really want to say something to the person that broke up with them that would really hurt their feelings. Right.
And that's similar to what you went through, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if so I think the good thing about that is that they can take that emotion that they have, listen to a song like F period U period X period, let it all out while listening to the song, and just have no impact on another person and have no impact on the different people that they might have said a hurtful thing to otherwise, because they relate to the song, so they connect emotionally to the song and let all that emotion out in that healthy way by listening to the song.
yes,
Exactly.
Totally. And like I can totally vouch for that. The fact that sometimes you just want to listen to songs that'll kind of bring it out of you. You might not have it in you, but that'll bring it out of you just so you can express it and then have that sort of little, I almost said nap time, but like downtime afterwards, kind of like nap time, but like downtime afterwards where you're like, okay, I'm going to breathe. I know that it's out now. This is not me. This is not what I want to communicate to that other person, which I think it's cool that you guys have it too, that sense of like maturity that you know you can hurt other people with that sort of thing. And so you want to kind of collect it and keep it boxed in there. And then you can have that period of maturity afterwards that's like, okay, this is not me. I differentiate myself now. I know that I have these feelings, but I'm not going to let them hurt anybody that they don't need to.
Also, why you'll get a lot of like quiet, like people who seem like not extreme, like saying, yo, FUX is my favorite song on the project, man. I relate heavy to that. Because they see a little bit of themselves, except to the extreme in that song. And Hyde, from what I observe, is just extreme, a bunch of emotions that are extreme. So anyone who's going through something in different ways can choose one of the songs. There's probably one song on there that relates to them. Listen to them. Like, first of all, I'm not alone. Second of all, this slaps. Like, I relate to this. So like, I think it's really cool that artists are trying to be more honest and raw, because that in turn helps people, makes people feel like they're not alone. And that's a specific way how it helps people and gets their emotions out.
Yeah. And you know, honestly, it does make me a little bit sad that it seems like rap is the genre that's most capable of doing this. Like I wish that sense could extend to other genres as well, the amount of rawness you can partake in. Because I guess with, you could say dubstep or metal, something heavy like that, it's kind of known for that, but you don't really, I don't think you can even get into it as intense as you can with something like rap, where you're really just going at it, where you're decking
Yeah,
somebody.
I
Maybe
feel
certain
like-
students. Yeah.
I feel like a big part of that, because I feel that it's a big part of music in general, and how people can see the song is the lyrics of the song. I really feel like rap is the most lyrical genre per se. It like,
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's just proven to be that it
Yeah.
has just like more words packed into a song than any other genre.
Agreed. Yeah.
And I feel like people a lot of people need to be told something rather than shown it. And I feel like if they hear a lyric saying what they're feeling,
Mhm.
it can possibly connect more than a sound
Agreed.
showing
Yeah.
what they're feeling. Either way,
Yeah,
either
totally.
one can still connect, but I feel like it's easier to connect to a lyric because it's something tangible that you already know. It's your language,
100%.
and so they can connect to it more.
And
yeah,
what's more is you also have the humanity of the person speaking to you instead of sort of some synthesizer, something that sounds made from a computer or even made from an instrument. It's different having somebody talk to you, somebody saying like, hey, I'm feeling terrible about this. I'm livid. I hate this, or something like that.
hmm
Like, hey, it's okay to feel this way.
Yeah.
I feel this way too.
yeah.
Exactly.
It's weird because like a lot of people like to say, oh, rap is like bad for the youth. Rap is not good. Rap is evil. Some people even say demonic. Like,
People are ridiculous.
first of all, I think it's just the Hyde concept, in my opinion. People do not like to admit that they have a side of them that might be edgy, a side of them that might be bad. So they live up here when they live thinking they're up here when they're actually down here.
They live that
Because of-
holier than thou
Yeah.
life.
So then you have like a bunch of people
Also, when
black.
that shadow self is poisoning them as
Yeah,
well.
so-
They
so-
don't really, or they're not
So you
aware.
have like people like completely not self-aware at all, where they think they're living in paradise, but the dark demons that they failed to kind of acknowledge and respect
Mhm.
are now lashing out. And
Mhm.
rap kind of gives an outlet for that. It's things are not always happy-go-lucky. Things are not always that one pop song out there. Like
Yeah.
it's not. Things sometimes get
Mhm.
hard. And
As much as you want yourself
by
to be like that, you
ignoring
can't
it, you're
make
not
it.
doing anything to stop the situation. You're just making the situation worse because the people who do feel those things feel isolated on top of that. So
Mhm.
that's why I think rap has kind of swept as one of the most popular, if not the most popular genre. And that's
Mhm.
why
That's
even
right.
100 Gex is getting a reason why 100 Gex is getting popular, because of how extreme and how against
The grain.
conventionalism it is, right? Because we have to admit, we have sides of us. We have, if everyone thinks they're Jekyll, everyone thinks they're Jekyll, and everyone thinks they have no demons. So
Everyone would like to
nothing
think.
bad is
Yeah.
happening. Everything's happy. I'm going here and there. So they don't want rap for some reason. But you have
I
to
feel like,
recognize it.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like all genres of music really have their different emotions that they express. Like you can obviously find a pop song that is really, really sad, for example.
Exactly.
You can relate to, they have depression or something.
Yeah.
But I feel like rap, why it's seen as more so like that, is because rappers are there's this convention in hip hop for rappers to keep it real.
Yeah.
Like a lot of artists, I hate to use just pop as an example because I love pop music, but a lot of pop artists, they have songs that are not really based on their emotion, or they don't even write the song.
Or
It's like
they
Let's Make It
might
Hit.
be, but they don't choose to go all the way into it, all
Yeah.
into the dark places it makes them
Yeah.
feel. And I think a really interesting way to play off of that is how Poppy, she makes pop. She made pop in the past.
She's great.
But now, yeah, she's spectacular. She's gone into like new metal, and she's totally shaken the pop scene with that sort of thing. Because
Yeah.
with these crazy metal influenced songs, she's taken pop to a place where you can express even more darkness.
Exactly.
Which I love.
Yeah,
And
she's
also
evil.
ghostwriting. ghostwriting is also an important kind of thing that happens in rap because rappers want to keep it real. Like if you don't write your own stuff, you're kind of in a way shamed because it's not just seen as another genre where like a lot of pop singers have a ton of ghostwriters.
Yeah.
Or just don't even write any of the music. It's just let's make a hit. Not all of them. And I don't want to generalize, but like ghostwriting is not as important in any other genre than rap.
Yeah.
And that really contributes to the rapping sense of keeping it real. That's because I mean I like a lot of pop people they don't have ghostwriters, they just have writers. That's like an actual like job that a person can have, writing pop songs for these different artists. Right. And whereas with a lot of people in rap, you have that need to keep it real, keep it 100 with yourself, and really express yourself and say what you're feeling. That's why I feel like a lot of stuff that really doesn't show that with a lot of mainstream hip hop, unfortunately, lately. Because I mean, I have my issues with stuff that's risen to the mainstream of hip hop sometimes.
Well, that's mainstream everything though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like everything.
Like as it becomes mainstream, it becomes less real and it becomes more generalized.
Yeah.
That's because there's a bigger audience.
Yeah.
There's a bigger audience to relate to. So if you target someone specific, if you tell your life story, if you tell an experience you're going through as specific as possible, 99% of people are not going to relate, but that 1% is going to be like, oh my God, he knows who I am.
It hits.
Right?
It hits.
And it's going to hit. So when you have to appeal to so many people, it's hard to keep it like relatable.
Exactly.
Like, you can still keep it real, but very vague, and be popular.
Exactly.
That's why I love like banger songs.
I will actually want to give an example
that,
of this,
but also have that underlying.
So like something that usually when you're talking with a stranger, there's an expectation that, you know, you'll give your name and you'll talk about something like the weather or something like that, right? And that's just sort of like you don't really get anywhere with that, right? But so many people can relate to it. It's just kind of tradition or expectation that you'll do it, that you'll just talk about it. And something like so many pop artists, you know what they talk about? Love. Love is a product for you to consume, you know? That's what pop is taken into, because everybody has experiences with love, whether they like it or not, whether you have parents or not, whether you're of a certain gender or not. You know, you have had experiences with love somehow, you know, whether it be through friends, through a lover, through your parents. It's just common, which is why I think so many pop artists are willing to package it and produce it and say, you know, you should relate to this. It is generalized now. I've watered it down. Please consume it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why. Oh, never mind. You were gonna say
no. Yeah. All right. So I feel like part of that is that people either haven't found themselves or they don't know how to express their emotion yet. And I actually feel like
they want to run away from their problems.
Exactly. And I've never been someone to run away from my problems. I've always been someone to find solutions to it. And I feel like a lot in more recent years, a lot of people have really come around to that. Like before, you'd find a lot of trivial songs and some people who really express those emotions wouldn't really rise to the top. Now I really see stuff like I hear Tyler, the Creator's Igor album last year. And to me, that's a very deep and personal album about a lot of stuff in this really tricky love triangle. That's one of my favorite albums of all time. And that album just shot up the charts. And I feel like a lot more people are really starting to acknowledge their emotions and bring stuff that really portrays that emotion to the top. Like, that's why I feel like a lot more people, I hate to bring them up again, but I feel like a lot more people listen to 100 Gex than you let on. Like a lot more people listen to like Brockhampton than you would let on.
6ix9ine? I don't know.
6ix9ine, yeah, I think you say that.
Because he's super extreme.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
He's super extreme, yeah, but I think I'm talking about more like stuff that has to deal with like emotional concepts.
Star-Lord.
6ix9ine.
X.
Exactly. Like I don't think someone like X would have I don't think someone like X would have risen to the top and got like a #1 song in 2013, for example. I think he really
took
came,
that
had a place in
misunderstood
time.
brand and like pushed it. Like not in terms of packaging, like he was real all the time, but like people could relate to him, that misunderstood idea around him, and that made all his music 10 times better to them. And I related to
and people really began to understand that and see, hey, this is the same stuff that I'm going through. This guy really gets me. And that kind of rose to the top. So that's why
I'm actually thinking about something. You know how, okay, so you don't necessarily have to experience something to empathize with it, you know, even though it'll give you better ability to do so. I think a lot of the reason why some of these things are rising so much is not just because obviously you have that, like you said, Rohan, that 1% of people that really hits. There are so many other people that are actually beginning to empathize with them, to understand the specific nuance of the situation. And I think that empathy, the fact that it's actually a huge, it partakes so much in the system, is really underrated. Because if you think about it, these people are actually, they're developing a greater sense of empathy, you know? I actually used to not listen to rap that much, and I didn't really like it. But Rohan, actually, you got me, and some other, you know, people that I've talked to that have kind of introduced me to songs. I'm like, wow, this tells a narrative that I might not understand, I might not relate to, but I want to empathize with it. I want to understand it, you know, also because it's so gritty and it dares to tell those sorts of stories.
Yeah. Wait, was that a question?
No.
Okay. Just talking about that.
No problem.
I think two things. Wait, where's?
I was just gonna say that I feel like a lot more people are seeing that empathy, seeing those feelings that they can understand, and they're in turn finding their own emotions. And that's just one of the reasons why I am very proud of how my generation, the majority of them, carry themselves. Like
For sure.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And I want to kind of poke a little bit deeper into how Igor became so mainstream, because that's an interesting concept, because it's a respected project and it's mainstream. And I think there's two main reasons. And I think, first of all, branding beyond the project is very important. When people see you keeping it real in Instagram videos, in like songs before, or just like in general interviews, they automatically have that realness associated, and they don't as much feel like you're faking. Like if I knew more about what Billie Eilish was doing, like the things you talked about, which I do, that makes me like her music more, even though it might seem general. So just knowing the background behind it, like
because it gives you the narrative.
Sad by X is doesn't go deep into any emotions, in my opinion. But you know X, like you know X through that screen. You know how real he kept it. You know you know how he talked about his emotions. So when you hear that, you hear it through him, and it hits much harder. So I think that's one reason why it's big, and also like sonic creativity. This is where the whole sonic influence comes in my opinion. Where you can make a pop hit, or you can make a song with general topics, but if you have so much sonic power behind it, like Igor did with synths and the production in general, then you can make people still relate to it, because people can relate to the sounds. Another big example is After Hours on After Hours.
Another one of my favorite albums.
I love that song, where it's basically it's same topics, right? But first of all, I know The Weeknd in a way, right? I know a little bit about his past with his relationships with love, so it hits harder. And second of all, the instruments used help propel the song into something that can be mainstream and consumed by people and respected by the hardcore fans.
Yeah, and I guess another good example of that in kind of another respect would be Laura Les has a tune about, or I guess Osno One, as they're both known. Again, another 100 gex stuff. They're good. They're seriously, check them out. But half of 100 gex, she has a song under her solo project which deals with body dysmorphia. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but
is it the one you showed me?
Good. Yes, I think
How to Be a Human or something.
Yeah. How to Dress as Human. It's so good. It's really short, but it's made all the better as a result. But knowing that she's gone through that sort of thing and like her experience is just, it's really powerful, you know? And like you're saying, just the fact that you know the person has experienced that and they're speaking their truth through a song is just, it's so important, you know, and it gives a lot more weight to the ideas. When you have the context, it means a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, that's completely true. I mean, Ro and I had this conversation the other day where we were talking about my album, right? And I was telling him, I told him about the stuff that I was talking about earlier, how I was dealing with this thing, and then I had my own religious awakening, right? My own religious spiritual awakening. And he was like, your story with that makes the album so much better because I can connect with it more. I can see where you're coming from this.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right? Like I can get more of the man behind the music.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost like you have an extra kind of, by knowing the person, you have extra like prologue chapters, I guess in the analogy of a story, you have extra sort of like prologue chapters to understand the protagonist, the character who you're dealing with, which makes their actions in the greater story make sense. Because your narrative, you have limits with how much you can kind of put out there. But by knowing the full context of like the character, which is very much you as well, which is, you know, at least a representation of you or an interpretation of you, it makes it, you know, it fits within the character arc that you go through as well. And that like beginning, that end, all that part that sums up the middle, it adds so much to it.
Yeah, and I feel like that really applies to just in general too. Like if the more you know about a person, the more you're gonna understand them and their actions. Right?
For sure.
Yes. So for all my artists out there, remember this. Always try to tell the story behind your song, because there is a story behind every song, because that will make everyone want to listen to it much more.
Facts. Like just two good examples of this from Rohan's own discography. Kept It. He made a little song out of a freestyle and he did like a little mini series to it. And Do Something. Like when I was watching the first episode of this podcast, and you two were talking about that day you guys had behind Do Something and like the real deeper implications that you guys took out of that. Yeah. It really resonated with me and it really made me like the song more.
Yeah. That means a lot. It means a lot. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it was great.
So yeah, I think you can't be like Nav or Weekend when you're coming up, where you're just like you drop something and you disappear. Like you don't have the brand power to do that. As an independent artist, you kind of have to be vulnerable, I think.
Yeah.
You have to show.
Actually, playing off just a little bit more about that, because even though, you know, a lot of our viewer base is not all artists as well, even though that's good tips for artists, viewers out there as well, or listeners, whatever, consumers, I'll put it.
Yeah.
Empathize with music more. Understand there's a greater story as well, because I think
empathize with art more.
Yes, exactly. And I think you don't need to even empathize with the artist. Knowing somebody else that empathizes with the music, that and having that story close to you as well, it means so much, you know?
Yeah.
And I think I'm proud to say, I think just by listening to, like I said, How to Dress as Human, I think I understand people with body dysmorphia at least just a little bit more, you know, and I want to understand them better. I want to have that empathy. So please carry that in your life. And there's got to be somebody out there that will empathize with the song, even if you don't. So you might be able to find a way to connect with it, even if you don't connect with it, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Cool.
I think that's great, man. I really like that.
Nail in the coffin right there. That was so good.
Nail in the coffin right there. Yeah. And I think as artists, it's our responsibility to be like that. More vulnerable and more be able to share our thoughts, because if we don't share our thoughts, if we don't become our biggest fan, if we're not proud of ourselves, if we don't love for ourselves, if we don't care for ourselves, if we're not motivating ourselves, then no one's going to be able to do that for us. No fan. You can't have true fans if you're not a fan of yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm going to be real specific about this.
Yeah.
As an artist, Spread your message and tell your story.
Fact. And if you're like, oh, I don't have a story.
You
of
do.
course you have
Everybody
a story.
does. Everybody
Everyone.
does.
One, you probably don't know yourself well enough, which I didn't when I started music. So
And that's
not
okay.
only with the not only
That's
with
okay.
first of all, not only like keep trying releasing stuff, you'll build your own sound over time. But second of all, self-development. Develop yourself as a person. Figure out what you like. And that's not going to be something you rush to do, but just try to make effort into figuring out who you are.
For sure.
And once you figure out who you are, life just becomes much easier no matter
You're
what
set.
you do.
You're
So,
set. Yeah.
For real.
That was such a good, like, we wrapped up that message so well that, like,
Yeah.
I love the fact that, like, we'll talk about something kind of abstract in the beginning, we'll catch our flow in the middle, and then as we get towards the end, we kind of
Full
know
circle.
what we
Yeah,
want
we
to
just had a
impart to
real
our viewers.
conversation about it too.
Exactly. So cool. It's so cool doing this sort of thing, man. Thank you for being on the episode today, Rico.
Yeah.
It's my
I appreciate
pleasure,
your
man.
stuff.
I had a
You've done
great
some
time
great work
here.
out there.
Stream Hyde.
Yes.
Yes, stream Hyde.
And
Get it out
trust
there.
me, there's more stuff coming from Rico. There's more stuff coming from
Definitely.
me.
I have.
And there's more coming from both of us.
Of course.
Yeah, we
And me
have.
too. I'll have some DJ sets.
We got a
out
lot of
for you.
stuff in store. Get ready, y'all.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, I got
I'm
you.
excited.
Okay. So I guess that's the end of it. But
That
really
was
proud of
perfect.
Okay, perfect. Knocking.
That was
Fans on my
perfect,
door.
man.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And I can't wait for the next episode. I can't wait for where you go off to, Robert, not only in music,
Thanks.
but also
No, and you too.
knowledge-wise.
And you guys too. I'm so excited to see what you guys are going to be putting out.
Stop. No. Okay, yeah, continue.
It's all right.
You good? All right, viewers. We love y'all. We appreciate you listening to this.
Thank you for
Have a
coming
blessed
out.
day, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'll see y'all. We all say always at the end of the call or at the end of the episode. So
That's how it
always
is. Always.